Good morning and welcome to the Leaders Brief by EgoMonk. Today we are examining Saudi Arabia's nuclear ambitions, taking a peek at the COVID-induced EdTech boom, and exploring China's mission to Mars. Saudi Crown Prince and de facto leader Mohammed bin Salman has been integral to several significant changes that Riyadh has experienced in the last decade, and his Vision 2030 blueprint plans to change the energy dynamics of the country by bringing in nuclear power. Saudi's nuclear plans had however started long ago in December 2006 as part of the six-member Gulf Cooperation Council that commissioned a study on the peaceful use of nuclear energy. Experts believe that Saudi Arabia's nuclear ambition is focused on bettering human resources, and it is too early to comment on the potential impact it would have on the politically volatile region.
Well, we are still in a very early stage about this. We are talking about the development of a nuclear reactor that's not yet completed. The estimate is that it will need approximately 1 year to be completed. We are not talking about the major elements of such nuclear capacity, which is basically the enrichment of uranium or the reprocessing of plutonium. And the third element, which is the signing of the non-proliferation treaty that Saudi Arabia signed in 1988. So it's committed to this non-proliferation according to that treaty. So whether this is going to change the balance of power or this is going to pose a threat to Iran or to Israel, I don't think so. I think we are still in a very, very early stages. It needs a lot more than that in order to talk about this nuclear capacity being a factor in the regional equation.
Ibrahim Freihat, a political analyst on West Asian countries, had told Al Jazeera, "In recent months, satellite images suggested that the West Asian nation is working towards completing its first ever nuclear reactor at the King Abdulaziz City for Science and Technology. Neighboring UAE was the first Arab nation to build a nuclear power station, the Barakah station. But while the UAE has signed up to the International Atomic Energy Agency's additional protocol, Saudi Arabia is far from implementing international monitoring rules. Though US President Donald Trump's administration had communicated to Saudi Arabia that it would require them to adhere to certain safety and non-proliferation clauses, Riyadh is yet to proceed towards following international protocol. For Saudi Arabia, US technology is not the only one they can bank on, as Prince Turki Al Faisal had expressed to CNBC.
Well, the nuclear energy market is open. It is not just the United States that is providing nuclear technology. We have France, we have Russia, we have China, we have our friends in Pakistan and in other places as well. So if they want to remove themselves from that market, well, that's up to them.
While both the Arab allies, Saudi and UAE, have promised peaceful use of nuclear energy, global concerns over nuclear power development in the region cannot be ignored. One of the major questions being asked is the need for the nations to harness atomic power at a time when most of the world is doing away with it. Abundant access to alternate energy sources such as solar further weakens the argument. The rivalry with Iran and the Saudi prince's 2018 statement saying that Riyadh wouldn't hesitate to develop nuclear weapons if Iran did so has put several more questions on Saudi Arabia's nuclear ambitions. Besides, a threat from insurgents only shows the Arab nuclear projects in a more dangerous light. But as Professor Freihat said, it is still too early to make any concrete judgments. Moving out of the energy sector, Saudi Arabian startups have seen significant investment in the first quarter of 2020. And one startup worth mentioning is Noon Academy that raised $13 million, part of which it will use to open a hub in London. Noon Academy is not the only online learning platform that has seen rapid growth during the COVID pandemic.
Today, we are able to reach out to hundreds of thousands and millions of students by using technology as an enabler. There are several challenges existing in the system. I'll only talk about 3 core challenges. Lack of access, as I mentioned, is a big challenge in almost all developing nations. Access to good quality teachers, good quality education. I'm not talking about the infrastructure here. That itself is a challenge. And no personalization in an offline format. It's very difficult to personalize when there are 40, 50 or 100 students sitting in a class. It's impossible to personalize. Almost everything else is personalized today. Our Facebook pages are customized and personalized. But the way we learn, our classrooms have not changed for the last 100 years. Technology has made its minimal intervention in education. So it's just the beginning. There is a lot of scope to improve the way we learn and teach. And the last challenge is the one which I'm talking about, learning which is driven by fear of exams. So all three challenges can only be solved at scale by using technology as an enabler. I'm not telling technology the end of it. Technology has to be an enabler. It has to be content first, education first, and giving it in a format which is personalized for each and every student.
Baiju Ravindran had said 2 years ago explaining the need for technology in imparting education. Baiju, one of India's largest startups valued at over $10 billion, saw a staggering 52% traffic increase on its website between March and May, according to SimilarWeb. Other EdTech platforms that have seen considerable growth during the pandemic in India include Topper, Vedantu, Camp K12, Entry, and InstaSolve. India's EdTech industry is expected to be worth almost $2 billion by 2021. However, the growth of EdTech startups seems to be concentrated on developing countries with much potential for internet growth. In most developed countries, educational organizations are employing in-house structures to reach out to their students in imparting education online. The USA saw a 17% dip in investments on EdTech companies compared to last year's $962 million. Yet, irrespective of a pandemic, the EdTech sector will see a steadily growing consumer base in the coming years. China, which is a leader in the global EdTech landscape and is seeing increasing competition with the US in terms of global tech and innovation dominance, launched itself into the space race with its Tianwen-1 probe that aims to reach Mars with a lander, a rover, and an orbiter. Theoretical physicist Michio Kaku called China's mission a historical step at a CGT in America interview. This is what he said.
Now, this latest mission from the Chinese is historic. It's the first time in history that any nation has tried on the first try a 3-in-1 shot, an orbiter, a lander, and a rover, all in one shot. Usually it takes years to decades to build up. First you have an orbiter, then you land on the red planet, then you roam over the surface with the rover. No, the Chinese are ambitious and they want to do it in one jump. That's historic.
China's Mars mission comes a week after the UAE, with the help of the USA, became the first Arab nation to launch a rover to Mars. And a week later, the USA's Perseverance rover took off from the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida. While on the face of it, the consecutive Mars missions may appear to be a new space race, most experts believe that instead of competition, the 3 missions are likely to unravel several questions that have plagued the human mind for decades. For China, there would be pride in accomplishing 3 firsts to Mars. And for the USA, the new mission may throw light on whether life ever existed on the red planet. Thank you for listening. Tune into Egomong to stay updated on the latest happenings and the impact on global trade, technology, and innovation. Egomong helps you make sense of change. We are a global intelligence platform delivering asymmetric outcomes by bringing organizations closer to the communities they want to serve and the leaders they wish to influence. Visit our website insights.egomong.com, that is insights.egomong.com, to subscribe and make better and faster decisions today. If you wish to collaborate with us, then please email us at contact@egomong.com.